Hi. So I took a bit of an unplanned break. Um, Long story short, the mental health was not great. And through my own fault, as is typical, we weren't doing so hot. And so I took some space, didn't really say anything to you guys, obviously. Sorry. Insutoku released for Call of the Wild, so like, I've been having a little bit of fun with that. You know, chasing jaguars, getting chased by jaguars. I've been having a great time with that. But I did kind of ghost everybody. Didn't even get my 100-day video out, and now we're actually, because of like recording and days and timing and editing and the way that everything kind of works out and re-finagles itself, this is day 103. I have to ID the tracks of a maybe female cottontail rabbit. If not female, just a cottontail rabbit. I honestly don't remember right now. But I took a break. I needed a break. I took like a week off, maybe a little bit longer. I don't really know. Kind of lost track of time the last 10-ish days. But I had family coming in from Arizona. I spent a bunch of time with them. Father's Day weekend happened. And it's Tuesday night now? That sounds about right. Sure, I don't know. I'd actually have to check my phone right now. But because it's plugged in, it's not gonna, like, tell me properly. Yeah, it's Tuesday now. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Hunter Classic. I must have forgotten to turn my game settings back up because these rocks are transparent and... Oh, what in the heck? That's a bit weird for you to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm out here for rabbits and maybe the pointer would be more beneficial for me, but I'm lazy. So I brought the retriever so I don't have to go get the rabbits. Anyway, that's, I don't know, that's my update, I guess. I finished like 3 books in the last week, so that's kind of nice. I finished, Packed in the Penalty Box and Pack Power Play, I think is what the second one was called. I finished those. I read... What did I read in between there? I read Game On by Nevessa Allen. And I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on that, okay? So I read Lights Out, and by read Lights Out, I actually did the... it's got a name. Duet audio... I can't talk. Oh my god. I did the Duet audiobook for... Lights Out, as was like the highest recommended way to do it. I also bought the physical book because I just liked having a physical book in my hand. Love my Kindle. Love my Kindle to pieces. Love a physical book though. I just like to read. Because I straight up was like, I can barely watch TV without subtitles and movies without subtitles, so like the audiobook thing is gonna be really difficult for me because I just can't I can't focus on what they're saying sometimes, and I really just need the words. So what I'm saying is, an audiobook is almost always pointless for me if I'm just gonna want to read it instead anyway. But I did the audiobook, and it was really good. It really was. It was a duet, so, like, Josh had his own voice actor, and Allie had her own voice actor, and... They, like, if it was a Josh POV chapter, if Allie talked, it was Allie's voice actor. That's the difference in, I believe they call it duet versus duology. I think if it's a duology, that might be the wrong word for it. Do not quote me on that. I think if it's a duology, if it is a, say, Josh POV chapter, and if Allie speaks in that Josh POV chapter, it will still be the male voice actor reading her parts, whereas if it's a true duet, they will read their own voice lines regardless of the POV of the chapter. So anyway, book 1, Josh and Allie, loved them to pieces. It was cute. If I remember correctly, and don't get me wrong, I might be mixing the ending of this book up with another one. It was okay. It was cute. It was sweet. Weren't really like, don't get me wrong, Lights Out is a nice way to dip your toe into dark romances. If you're not really sure about dark romances, it's an okay way to dip your toe into it. I've read Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. This has been brought up in text messages recently with 2 of my family members. Hi, Dad. Hi, Kai. Anyway, so that Haunting Adeline is one thing. Hunting Adeline, whole different ballgame. Anyway, back to the conversation at hand. Lights Out is a good way to, like, dip your toe into dark romance. That book 1 was good. Book 2 was great. Oh my god. I love Nico and I love Lo. You had me, like, in a chokehold from, like, I think it was page 11, cackling. Because, so, if you don't know, book 2, Lo is a... Because of copyright things, she has an OnlyPans account. Right? And it's her and I believe 2 other roommates. One is a they, them, one is another female. And they all do OnlyPans related things. The they, them is actually the video editor for her. But on, like, page 11 of Caught Up, which is book 2, on, like, page 11, I think it was, they were watching back footage of her falling off the bed mid-recording. Funniest goddamn thing ever. So, oh my god. I was crying laughing reading that. Anyway, I have heard it suggested that I should do Caught Up as an audiobook as well. Maybe. I don't know. Audiobooks are really hard for me to do. As, you know, whatever. So book 3, right? Game On. It's about Josh's roommate from the first book, Tyler, who is Allie's ex-boyfriend. He's blonde, and that alone just kind of ruins a lot of it for me. But it's really funny because that's actually a bit of dialogue in the book where he's, like, being all cocky and shit, and he's like, I think I have an appropriate amount of confidence, and the female goes, please, you're a blonde man, sit down. And if that ain't the most accurate thing ever. But there's just, like, there's a lot to go with this book. You don't have to read the first 2 books to read Game On. It does give a lot of context, but honestly, as far as Game On goes as a book, my favorite parts was when Tyler and Stella, I was gonna say Sophia, that was not right, sorry. When Tyler and Stella interact with the characters from previous books, like Josh and Allie or Nico and Lo. Like, those were actually my favorite parts of the book, which says a lot, maybe? I don't know. Regardless, I still ain't seen nor heard a single rabbit. Like, usually by now, like, I'm walking my usual rabbit route, by now I typically would have something. Whatever. But yeah, I have in total ever listened to 3 audiobooks. So obviously, you now know I listened to Lights Out as an audiobook. The other 2 that I've listened to, one of them I listened to was The Song of Achilles. I listened to that one on Spotify when I still had Spotify Premium, and so it was like you get, 10 listening hours per month or something like that. And I listened to that one. That book, I was making the mistake of listening to at work, at my day job. And when I tell you, that book made me ugly cry, sobbing on my lunch in front of other, like, teachers and general adults and admin who worked in my building, like, thought that something was wrong. But it was just a book. Oh my god. So if you don't know, The Song of Achilles is a book about the Greek story of Achilles, told from the point of view of his lover Patroclus. Ugly crying, okay? Ugly crying. I'm not gonna spoil anything for you. I promise. Ugly crying though, okay? Have the tissues handy. The third one. So this one's really funny for me to tell people about, in my opinion. So the third one that I've done as an audiobook was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. If you know me in my personal life and you know the books that I read, I love me a fantasy. Romance being an aspect of it is nice, but not required. I want to read about magic and dragons and fairies. The love part is optional. Anyway, I read ACOTAR, right? I read the actual ACOTAR book, not the series. Book. Read it. Didn't really like it. Couldn't decide if it was because Tamlin wasn't my type or if it was something else. Turns out I just saw the red flags. Anyway, so I read ACOTAR. I read ACOMAF, which is book 2. Is it easier with the acronyms? Probably not, if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. This is, after all, a hunting gaming channel. So I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. Didn't like the male main character. Thought it was because he wasn't my type. No, I just saw the red flags and didn't realize it. Then I read A Court of Mist and Fury, which was incredible, but, like, not top tier. You know? I read A Court of Wings and Ruin. Now that was incredible. And maybe it's the aspect of magic, dragons, fairies, war. Maybe that's why. Loved it. And then we had A Court of Frost and Starlight, which was like the Christmas special novella, where we transfer from being in exclusively the female main character, Feyre's point of view, to a few different characters' point of view, because that's how the 5th and final book that is released as of right now, A Court of Silver Flames, is where you will switch points of view between a couple different characters, but Silver Flames is predominantly from Nesta's point of view. So Frost and Starlight was okay, it was cute. I probably need to reread it because I think I buzzed through it so quickly that it was just me turning pages and kind of reading words, not really not really getting anything concrete. Anyway, Silver Flames, incredible. Cassian is wonderful. Cassian is like my number 2, okay? That says a lot. I've read all of Sarah J. Maas's books that she has out now. Cassian's number 2. Okay, I do have a top 5, but like Cassian's number 2. And then I tried to read, I think, if this is the order that I'm remembering it correctly, I tried to read Crescent City 1, which is Crescent City, the House of Earth and Blood. Tried to read it, failed miserably, had to put it down, decided, fuck it, let's read Throne of Glass instead. So, I bought the whole fucking series, which is like $130. Paperback, mind you. Not special covers, not sprayed edges, not exclusive editions for anywhere, just straight up normal fucking Bloomsbury Publishing paperback of Throne of Glass. I did get like the soft touch covers though, so like that's kind of nice. Anyway, got Throne of Glass, started to read it. It took me like a month to get through the first 5 chapters, which is not normal for me. Could not get into it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try another audiobook, and so I bought Throne of Glass, just the first book on the audiobook, because the audiobook costs more than the paperback, I believe. And it's a single narrator, a single female narrator for that. And I think this is the same narrator that they use for all of the Sarah J. Maas books. Could be wrong though. Don't have any of the others to compare it to, but I know that she's the narrator for all of the Throne of Glass books, which they don't have all of them on audiobook. They only have like the first 3. Anyway, so I had to do the audiobook, switch to the audiobook, and it was difficult, okay? I was trying to listen to it when I was like cooking or whatever, or cleaning or doing whatever, and I think I tried listening to it while I was editing a couple times, but like it got to the point where I would only listen to it when I was falling asleep at night. But I could never do the like, oh, shut it off at the end of the chapter, because I would be still awake and I would register that it stopped, and I'd be like sitting there staring at the ceiling like, Okay, well now I need you to keep talking so I can fall asleep. Are there seriously no rabbits on this map? What is this? Anyway. We got going. Right, reading Throne of Glass. Not reading, but audiobook listening, which still counts as reading. Still counts. Anyway. And so Throne of Glass has about 54 chapters, give or take. 50-ish chapters. I got to chapter 18, I want to say. 18 to 21, somewhere in there. Chapter number on the audiobook exclusively. And finally, oh my god, finally this book was like starting to get semi-interesting to me. Finally. And so then I was like, well, let me pull out the real book so I can actually kind of pay attention now. And so I pulled out the real book and then I started reading along with the audiobook. So, you know, my subtitles while watching TV type stuff. Which probably says a lot about the level of medicated that I would be if I got properly diagnosed with probably ADHD. Anyway, so then I started reading along with my audiobook. And I did that probably to about chapter 25 or so, chapter 26 or so. And then I kept reading while listening to the audiobook. And then I was into the story. And then I started finishing a chapter and then looking at my phone and realizing that the narrator was only halfway through the chapter because I read rapidly if I'm interested. And like, I'm not, like, the audiobook that I was listening to wasn't like a 1.0 reading speed. I'm not crazy, I can't do like 2.0 or anything like that. But I was listening to it at least at like 1.2 if I really needed to slow it down, but my average was probably 1.5, 1.7. Like, not super slow, but also not Speedy Gonzalez is reading me this story, or an auctioneer is reading me this story, right? And then I want to say I hit like chapter 32 and I was like, okay, the audiobook is almost distracting background noise now. Because if I read 3 chapters, the audiobook was just finishing the first one. So then we cut the audiobook and I finished out the book and it was great. It was great. Picked up book 2, you know, Crown of Midnight. Ripped through that thing in like a day and a half. And I'm like, okay, well now I'm obsessed. I'm in this. I'm in this to win this. I'm in this to read this. We are here for the long haul. Let's go, Aelin. Let's go, Selena. Right? So, now, I'm like, okay, I've been told to read Assassin's Blade, the prequel, after I read Heir of Fire. So I go and I read Heir of Fire, and the things happen, and the stuff happens, and what have you. If you've read it, you've read it. If you haven't, you haven't, right? I want this box, just because, like, I'm tired of wandering around not having anything shot. Oh god, can I even do this? Oh, jeez. Okay. Now I at least have something down. Where was I? Yeah, okay. I've been told to read the prequel after Heir of Fire. Okay, cool. I'll grab book 3, Heir of Fire, read that. She's traveling to a new continent. That's cool. Read through that. Heir of Fire is good. Heir of Fire is good. I finished that, and now it's time to read the prequel. Okay, cool. Oh, the prequel is like 5 teeny tiny little short stories just shoved into one binding? Okay, I guess. Read stories 1, 2, 3. These are cool. I think that one character... I think we've mentioned that character before. Okay, cool. Keep reading. Short story number 4. Oh no. Short story number 5. Oh no. And then we go back to the main series and we're reading Queen of Shadows. And that book series rips your heart out and stomps on it, picks it up, puts it in a blender, runs it, and throws it in out the back door into the compost pile, and then 6 months later digs it up and feeds it to a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex. Okay? That was rough. I understood why people said, oh, if you read Heir of Fire and then you read the prequel and then you read Queen of Shadows, like, it'll have the emotional impact. That thing had the emotional impact of the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. Okay? That shit hurt. That hurted my feelings. Anyway. Oh. Okay. I still need a rabbit, though. I don't even need the rabbit. I need rabbit tracks. Oh. I don't want to cross the tracks, because if I cross the tracks, I kind of end up on the wrong side of the map. I'm just gonna go this way. Anyway. The feelings were hurt. Tears have been shed. Finished Queen of Shadows. And now it's time for a tandem read? What? I've never done a tandem read before in my life. I think I did it wrong, honestly. Like, somewhere along the way, in me, like, trying to pre-mark the books, I got confused, and I think I messed up the order in a couple of spots, but it's fine, we did it, we finished both at the same time-ish, you know, relatively. Good lord, I cannot imagine being somebody reading Throne of Glass when it was originally released, and, like, you get Empire of Storms, you read through Empire of Storms. Spoiler, it ends in a fuck of a cliffhanger, and then you get the announcement for the next book, and it takes place during the same time with other characters on another continent, and it's not actually a continuation of the story yet. And if you've read it, be nice. I like Kale, okay? Anyway, can't imagine having to read that with, like, actual release dates in the way that it was. Thank God for the tandem read now. And then you get to Kingdom of Ash. Which is where your heart, soul, and feelings are going to reside after you finish the book. But this is what I will say about Kingdom of Ash. You're gonna cry, first of all. Second of all, I genuinely think that Kingdom of Ash is the prettiest bow I have ever seen to tie up a series, because so many things became such a full circle after reading Kingdom of Ash. It chef's fucking kiss, okay? The way she tied that story back up at the end, immaculate, okay? There are very few things that I would like to see added to the Throne of Glass series. Very few. And you want to know what some of them are? I want to know what Lorcan did. Don't we all? I want to see Fenris get a happily ever after. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else, honestly. Like, those are the two things that I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I would read that. The rest of it's just kind of whatever. Can't think of anything. I can't think of anything else right now that I would like to add to that. And then we move on to the third series by Sarah J. Maas. One of the two of the three that is not finished yet. Crescent City, right? I finally actually read Crescent City. I had to come back to it and try again. So we start off with Crescent City 1. House of Earth and Blood. Excuse me. You meet, Bryce, you meet Danica, you meet the Pack of Devils, you meet all kinds of people. Right out in the beginning, my character is getting heat stroke. I can hear her breathing hard. Do I have the water bottle? I do! Look at that. So, you meet all your characters, we go through, reread it. It's like murder mystery, kind of cool, kind of different. However, a little hard to wrap your head around, I think, after reading, ACOTAR, after reading Throne of Glass, where it's kind of sword fighting, and then you get to Crescent City, and what's that TikTok audio? You better watch your mouth before something bad happens. Ain't nothing bad gonna happen. I have a gun, right? Like that's Crescent City, okay? Main character's dad was like an army sniper, okay? Like a well-known, famous army sniper type stuff. So, little harder to wrap your head around with the modern technology. Like, homegirl's got a cell phone, like Instagram is a vibe and a thing. She got like an electric scooter, moped thing for a vehicle. Look, it's a whole... You gotta wrap your head around it. It's a little difficult. Crescent City 1, good. This is when we meet my #1 favorite Sarah J. Maas male character. No, it is not Rune Danon, Crown Prince of the Volbaran Fae. It is Hunt, the Umbra Mortis Athelar. That's my favorite Sarah J. Maas character. I mean, is he Cassian with feathers? Yeah, but he's also Cassian with feathers and a backwards baseball hat. And, like, kind of policey vibes. My husband's an officer. What do you want from me? Anyway. Crescent City 1, the House of Earth and Blood. Good. Cool. Love it. Crescent City 2, the House of... Oh, fuck. House of Sky and... What is it? Oh my god, what is it? I'm gonna have to go check my bookshelf for this, guys. But instead of getting up and actually doing that, I'm gonna just pull up my Goodreads and scroll down to wherever it's at. I gotta get past all of the Armentrout books. There's lights out. Oh, a House of Sky and Breath. That's what it is, right? Book 2. I rated it 5 stars. Interesting. If you can get past the first half of that book, you can get past just about anything, I think. I'm not saying it was bad, I'm just saying that at the time that I read it the first time around, it didn't vibe. I wasn't into it. Second time around, you got me. Okay? I am invested, I am interested, I want to see where this goes. And then we have Crescent City 3, the House of Flame and Shadow, which is the last remaining Crescent City book that has been released so far. And you get some crossovers. More crossovers than we saw with other books. You get some crossovers. And 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Incredible. Another 5-star read on my Goodreads. And so now, this October, I believe October 27th, might be wrong on that. This October and then in January as well, we have the next 2 books releasing in the ACOTAR series, which very excited about that. Again, still have not found a single rabbit trap, or a rabbit for that matter. Interesting. Kind of annoying. Who cares? I can ramble about books for a while. It's already been half an hour. It hasn't all been about books, but that's beside the point. Right, so we have ACOTAR 6 and ACOTAR 7 releasing in October and January, respectively. We do not yet, as of me recording this, know the title. Don't know what the covers look like. We don't know who even the main narrating characters are going to be. There's many theories that it's going to be Elaine and or Asriel. There's... Hold your horses. Rabbit? I swear there's a rabbit right there. Hold on. I swear there's a rabbit, like, right there. There is! It's a male. Of course it's running. What else would it be doing? But if I go in the direction that it ran, I should maybe find another rabbit, but ideally, at minimum, find tracks. I hope that the tracks can be anything, and I hope that they don't have to be female. If they do have to be female, let's just hope we find them. completely lost my train of thought. Other than, like, what we don't know about the book that's coming out. I will tell you that I did watch oh, just tracks from a rabbit in general. Solid. I do hope gotcha. Now, fetch. Look how hard that was. I'm kidding. That like took way longer than it should have. Like that was an embarrassing amount of time. Perfect. Female! What I thought I needed. Holy cow. That is a big rabbit, is it not? Okie dokie. So we have bush rangers, this rabbit. That is a nice rabbit. 2400 is like big. 2500 is supposedly max. This rabbit is 2200. That's nice, not ginormous. A 2.3. That could have been a 2.3. That could have been a 2300. Ridiculous. I feel slighted. Anyway, I'm sure you guys are well sick and tired of me talking about books. Come here. Come here. Get over here, General. Only I would bring the red dog onto the reddest map ever and also put him in an orange jumpsuit. Only me. I'm waiting for the dog to, like, look at the... Ah! Ah! My character! Where'd I go? Oh my god, there I am. Wait, come back. Come back. It was, like, perfect, and I was just waiting for my dog to look at the camera again. Camera. Look this way. I need to turn just a little bit. There we go! I don't hate that. Okay. I rambled for like 30 minutes about books and got a fox while I was rambling and walking, and then I finally got one rabbit. Whew. But yeah, ACOTAR 6 comes out in October, ACOTAR 7 comes out in January, and from what I've heard, ACOTAR 6 is pretty small. It's like 350 pages, but I think ACOTAR 7 is supposed to be like 700 and something, because Sarah J. Maas said in an interview, she was like, I physically cannot write this story in a way that it can be physically bound into one novel. Like, I have met the... What was it she said? She met the maximum of, like, the binding capabilities for books with, like, Kingdom of Ash, I think. Because Kingdom of Ash was, like, 1,015 pages. And she was like, yeah, I met the max then, and I could not get this story out in less than that many pages, so I had to... We had to separate it into 2 books, basically. But since the first book that's coming out, ACOTAR 6, in October, is only going to be about 350 pages, it's actually smaller than the first ACOTAR book, which was like 480, I think, ish. But it is bigger than the 250-some page novella. So, definitely looking at, like, a summer solstice special instead of the Christmas special. Right, you get the idea. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for coming to my book talk, TED Talk. Mental health is not immaculate, but getting better. I definitely needed a week off. But I think we're gonna maybe nix the daily videos now, and we'll go down to whatever I can mentally manage in a week. Hopefully on some semblance of a schedule. I do apologize. You know, in other more, I guess, exciting to me news, my son started crawling yesterday. Yay! I really gotta baby-proof my house a lot more. Because, like, it's one level of baby-proofing when, like, they can't really crawl around. Whole different ball game once they're mobile, so we're gonna be working on that, and that's gonna be taking up a lot of my time. I appreciate you all for hanging out with me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you, not tomorrow, but I'll see you next time. Bye!